Hey everybody, this is Lloyd700, the host of Mole Deception Among Us. Welcome to the Mole Deception Among Us finale show. It's been 3 months coming, but it's finally time to find out who the winner is and who the mole was. Of course, during this 10-15 minutes or so, we'll also take a look at the clues that I planted to the mole's identity, some of which might have been a little esoteric, but, you know, that's just how I roll, I guess. We'll also take a look at some of the sabotages the mole was able to execute. And we'll also take a look at some of the paths that some of the players might have taken. There were definitely some interesting turns of events that took place during this game. And now that it's almost over, it'll be time to share them with you. Before we go on any further, though, I'd like to remind everybody of the executed players and how they finished in the game. So let's take a look and recap the game up to this point. Okay, so congrats to those players for finishing where they did. But now I don't think there's really anything else to do but reveal the winner of the game. So in a second I'm going to start a rotation of everybody's names, and when it stops, that'll be the person who won the game and the full value of the pot of $333,000, which of course I will not be paying to you in U.S. currency anytime soon. So yeah, without any further ado, let's start the rotation. So yes, congratulations in fact are in order for Mega Man 703, who is the winner of Mole Deception Among Us. He scored the highest on the final quiz, and thus takes home all the money in the pot, sort of, because I'm not giving away any money, obviously. But he is the champion of Mole Deception Among Us. He'll get Survivor League points for it. So now you know who the winner is, but that still leaves the question of who the mole is. For 13 rounds, the mole has tried to antagonize you, and in some ways has helped take away the $667,000 you didn't win for the pot. So after 3 months, it's time to finally reveal who the mole is. So let's find out right now. So the mole in this game was lucky number 777, and I think he was a pretty good mole, actually. We talked a lot behind the scenes about sabotages and about the missions in general, and I think that when we talk about the statistics a little later, you'll see that Lucky did a pretty good job, or everybody else was just a little bit oblivious, because not many people ever picked him on the quiz, including Scorp, who in his final quiz, unfortunately, who actually believed the mole was Mega Man. We're going to talk about the clues that I planted and some of Lucky's sabotages in a second. But again, I want to congratulate Mega Man for his victory and Scorp for a very, acceptable and distinguishable second place. And of course, I want to thank Lucky, who was a great mole. So now let's take a look at some of the clues that I planted to Lucky's identity throughout the game. Now let me start off by, cautioning you all that some of the clues were a little esoteric and maybe you wouldn't call them clues. Some of them were very, very subtle, and some of them were maybe a little too oblique. But generally, I think I placed a good amount of clues in the game as to Lucky's identity. In fact, I think it was 15 was the count. I don't have the list right in front of me. I'm going to pull it up in a second when we start the slideshow. But I put 15 in there. Maybe a few of them were esoteric, but some of them were pretty obvious. And let's take a look at the 15 that I deliberately placed. There might have even been more that you picked up on, but let's see the ones that I deliberately put into the game. Alright, so we'll start off with one of the more esoteric ones. In the second mission, which is the balloon popping one, as you can see, I said that the color of the balloons was green. This is probably one of the more esoteric ones, like I said. But, I wouldn't specify an extraneous clue like that unless I was trying to make you think of something that was green. Four-leaf clovers are green, so I figured that might draw some attention to it. In the next mission, one of the courses, it was the cooking mission, and one of the courses that I asked you to prepare was a rabbit stew, rabbit's foot, again being another lucky charm. As you can see, like most of the clues in this game, when you have a screen name like lucky number 777, you sort of gauge your clues around lucky things and the number 7. Anyway, in mission number 4, which was the deduction distraction, it was the card game. There were 49 cards. There were 24 pairs of letters and one odd card out. And so if you add them all together, that's 49. 49, of course, being if you take the square root of 49, you get 7. So lucky number 777 pops up again. The next mission right after that, there were a lot of clues very early in the game. The next mission, I was explaining when people could throw eggs and when they couldn't, and the egg number that I used in that description was number 13. 13, of course, being an unlucky number. And then at the very end of that mission, you had the opportunity to destroy your eggs for the shot at an exemption, which a lot of you did, which actually really surprised me. But at the end of the game, I revealed that the one that had the exemption in it was number 31, and if you add up all of the digits of Lucky's user ID number, which off the top of my head I believe is 1741 or 1749181, if you add all of those 7 digits together, you get a 31. I realize in some of these clues you could probably take, like the Jim Carrey movie, the number 13 or something, and just make them up. But that's kind of how it works a little bit sometimes. So the next mission, I think, was one of the first really obvious clues. It was the gumshoe game. And at the end of the game, it was revealed that the murderer was Dr. Linden in the kitchen with the yardstick. I don't think I presented them in that order, but if you take Linden, kitchen, and yardstick, the first letter of each, you get LKY, which of course looks just like Lucky. In mission number 8, which is the one where they were playing Hangman, everybody's playing Hangman, 2 words in each puzzle were a part of Lucky's signature. Lucky and I discussed the possibility of potentially changing his signature after that, but that might look a little obvious. So I put them up again to take a look at what they were, and I'll put Lucky's signatures up there too, so you can see that 2 words in each puzzle were part of his signature. Then I took a couple missions off. Mission 11, I said that the contents of the bags were emeralds. Again, that's totally irrelevant unless I'm trying to get you to think of something green, a green gem, green again. I'm trying to make you think of 4-leaf clover and Lucky again. In the 12th mission, the very next one in that round, the exemption was hidden in the 4th load of laundry that was thrown out. This is a very subtle clue. But 2004 was the year that Lucky's account was created. I did mention year of account creation in many, many quizzes, so I guess it maybe wasn't that subtle. But I did it intentionally to sort of make you think about that. And the 4th load was supposed to be like 04, which was the year that Lucky created his account. During the 6th quiz, this was a very obvious clue that nobody picked up on because nobody got Lucky during the 6th quiz. If you look at questions 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, which I just put up, in order, the first letters, it was L-U-C-K-Y. There were, of course, other random questions in between, but if you skipped every other question, you got Lucky right down the first column. Then I took a couple more missions off, and during the 8th execution, when I had to switch to the text executions, I had equal signs of everybody's name to separate them, and Lucky's was one character shorter than everybody else's. Then I took a couple more missions off because it was starting to get near the end of the game at this point. During mission 20, which was Teetering Threat, that was where the people had to pull the bricks out of the giant stack to try and earn some money. The ones that were worth $3,000 a piece, which was the most available, were 12, 15, and 4, and Lucky created his account on December 15th, 2004, which is 12/15/04. And the detonator bricks were 7 and 13. That was an extremely obvious clue, and I think it was at this point that Mega Man actually started acing his quizzes with Lucky. Okay. 3 more clues left. In mission number 22, there were 27 false answers. Again, this is one of those Jim Carrey, the number 23 things. You can really make anything you want out of it. But I did deliberately put 27 false answers in there. Again, it was Lucky's account creation 12/15. In the Sword and the Stone mission, Xiphoid Xenoliths, Lucky's portion of the code that would have gotten you the money was 7. And then finally, in the last mission, Zealot Zenith, at the very end of the mission, I said, good luck. I had worked really hard the entire game to make sure that I didn't actually ever say luck or use the phrase luck unless I was actually talking about Lucky for some reason. So this final clue was supposed to make you think of Lucky, and for some of you it did, and for some of you it didn't. There were also a bunch of clues in the Mole's dossier, which actually was very valuable to earn in this game, and I'll talk about those and a little more in the next video.